Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we got another deck analysis today for you guys, looking at Centiskorch VMAX. So a deck that placed 30th at the POG 2020 Open Tournament. And that tournament was for before rotations, so everything from Lost Thunder to Darkness Ablaze. The winner of that tournament was, of course, Pikarom, and before rotation happens, decks that utilize all of those electric toolkits from Lost Thunder and up are going to be really good decks. So Pikarom won, Vigavolt V did really well in the tournament, and then also decks like Blacephalon, Baby Blacephalon did really well in the tournament as well, because they also had access to Fiery Flint, which will be rotating too. But this deck doesn't need any cards from the sets that are going to be rotating out, and I think once rotation happens, this deck will get even better, and hopefully we'll see it being placed higher than 30 in some of these tournaments. So let's get right into it. We're doing a Pokemon count of 16, and that's going to include 3 Centiskorch VMAXs and 3 Centiskorch Vs. So Centiskorch V, it's got 210 HP. Really, we only play this to get into the VMAX, but that first attack can help us. Radiating Heat does 20 damage, but you may discard an energy from this Pokemon, and if you do, you discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This is a great attack before you get to set up into your Centiskorch VMAX, as if you're not able to get into the Volcanion or your Jirachis into your first turn, then this is also a good option because it goes well with the Centiskorch VMAX and its attack. So we'll take a look at Centiskorch VMAX. So 320 HP on this guy, which is really good. It's pretty standard for a VMAX, but we play this because it can do big damage, and we have a lot of tools to accelerate energy to it with Welder. So that first attack there for 2 colorless, although we're going to be using fire energies. G-Max Inferno does 40 plus. This attack does 40 more damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon, and if you did any damage with this attack, you may attach a fire energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So like I said, being able to discard that with the Centiskorch V on first turn, doing that first attack, and then go into Centiskorch VMAX, and you'll already have that energy in the discard pile to accelerate more onto this VMAX after its first attack. So we're running a 3-3 lineup of Centiskorch. We're also running a Victini V, mainly for that first attack, but the second attack can be useful too. So Spreading Flames for 1 colorless energy. Attach up to 3 fire energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon any way that you like. So let's say that it's sort of mid to late game and you need to set up that Centiskorch in a hurry. Spreading Flames can help you do that. And on a 2-prize Pokemon, that is not a bad ability, especially for the 1 energy. Second attack though, Energy Burst, 30 times this attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So definitely can be used to finish up some knockouts or hit for weakness on like a Zacian or Zamazenta, without being immune, with being able to do damage to that Zamazenta, because Zamazenta is immune to VMAXs, so having just a basic V Pokemon to do some secondary attacking definitely is a good option. And then also we run a Heatran-GX for another backup attacker. Decks now that are running and mainly using Pokemon VMAXs kind of opens up some GX attack space for us in this deck. So we're not running obviously any tag team GXs like Reshiram and Charizard. That's not what this deck is based around, so we have an option to use a GX attack that isn't that tag team GX attack. So we run Heatran-GX because it's able to be swapped in and get some one-hit KOs on some really big Pokemon, and that can be really useful in the game. So that ability there, Burning Road, once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to your active spot, you can move any number of fire energy from your other Pokemon to it. And since we have cards like Centiskorch VMAX, who have a lot of damage, can take a lot of damage, have a lot of HP and can take a lot of damage, and our main strategy with this deck is to pump Centiskorch VMAX with a lot of energy. If it's about to die, what you can do is switch in your Heatran-GX, put all that energy, or at least as much as you need, onto the Heatran-GX, and then hit for that GX attack, which does 50 damage. Hotburn-GX there does 50 damage, times the amount of fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So let's say you had like 6 or 7 even fire energy on that Centiskorch VMAX. Switching into the Heatran, you can move all of that energy over to Heatran-GX and get a one-shot KO on other VMAX Pokemon like Eternatus VMAX. So a great secondary attacker, and that's mainly the reason why we play this, really just to use that GX attack. Other cards we're running, we run a Blacephalon-GX, so late game if you really only have one prize card, or early game if you don't have any other options, you can put in Blacephalon-GX, and then also use the Burst GX, which kind of can, for one fire energy, you discard one of your prize cards, and then if it's an energy, you can attach it to one of your Pokemon, so basically a free one prize draw just for this one GX attack if you don't really have a way to use Heatran-GX, or if you just need that one prize card at the end of the game, then you would rather just use Blacephalon-GX. Either way, you have options, so it's a good tech card to put in there just to get some easy prize cards. We also are running a Crobat V, so we're running one Crobat and one Dedenne just for draw support. If you don't know what Crobat is already, it's we played for that ability Dark asset, so when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, and you can only use one Dark asset ability per turn. So we run one Crobat and one Dedenne. Of course, the Dedenne change, you can discard your hand and draw 6 cards. We run those two just kind of as a solid combination of draw support. If you don't have the cards you need, or you just need to get an energy in the discard pile, or whatever it may be, you can use a Dedenne or the Crobat, or you can use them both in one turn, which is sort of the reason why we're running both of those two different draw support Pokemon. We do run an Eldegoss V. When we run this Eldegoss V, because of course we can only run 4 Welders in our deck, and if the game drags on, if we've somehow gotten our our Welders discarded for some reason, or we've used them all, having an Eldegoss V to be able to get that Welder back and then set up for another final late game knockout. Eldegoss can be very useful in really any deck that relies heavily on a supporter card, like we do. So we run one Eldegoss V, and then some other starting options for the deck to give the deck a little bit more consistency. We run 2 Volcanions. So we run Volcanion primarily for Flare starter. Search your deck for 1 fire energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. But if you're going second and it's your first turn, so first turn going second, you can do the same thing, but for 3 fire energy cards. So first turn going second is definitely the better option for this deck, especially if you are starting with a Volcanion. You can get the 3 energy attachments with that attack on your first turn. And then if you're going second, you can also use your Welder for a supporter, and you can get up to 6 energies on your Centiskorch right on your first turn, and that can be an absolutely terrific way to start the game. And then we also run 2 Jirachis, which are, of course, just really great single prize utility cards. So we play it, of course, for Stellar Wish, and if you don't already know, you get to, once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your active spot, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a trainer card that you find there, and then put it into your hand, shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Alright, next, so let's get on to the item cards in the deck. So we're running 1 Energy Spinner. We run 1 Energy Spinner mainly to get us that energy in hand. We are running Fire Crystal as well. We're running Giant Hearth. But we run Energy Spinner because it's got that effect where if you have it in your hand and it's your first turn going second, you can get 3 energies into your hand instead of just 1. And also later in the game, if you get it, it doesn't hurt to just get an extra energy in your hand. So I feel like just throwing 1 Energy Spinner in there is more than enough to help you out. Just kind of give your deck more consistency in drawing energies. Next, we also run we run 2 Fire Crystals actually. So we get to put 3 fire energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So throughout the game, we might be discarding some cards with Giant Hearth. We might be discarding them with Quick Ball, whatever it may be. Fire Crystal lets us sort of stack up those energies in our discard pile and then pop the Fire Crystal down, get the 3 energies back into hand, and then use things like Welder to put those onto our Centiskorch VMAX or whatever other Pokemon we're attacking with. So Fire Crystal, not entirely necessary in this deck, but something I find to just give it more consistency and something I enjoy running. So after that, we run 3 Pokemon Communications. So on top of the 4 Quick Balls we run, sometimes we're able to search for those basic Pokemon, but we aren't able to search for the evolution Pokemon, which is our Centiskorch VMAX. So Pokemon Communication just sort of helps us get the evolution Pokemon into our hands, into play. We run plenty of Pokemon in this deck, 16, and only 3 of them are evolution Pokemon. So we run 3 Pokemon Communications, assuming that we won't ever draw into it. We'll be able to swap one of our basic Pokemon we don't need back into our deck for that Centiskorch VMAX. So 3 of those, and we run 4 Quick Balls. In the deck, there will be a lot of times where you are looking for that Jirachi, you're looking for the Eldegoss, you're looking for the Crobat, Dedenne, Heatran, whatever it may be. that you need to sort of facilitate your win in the game. So Quick Ball, necessary item card to run in almost any deck to find those basic Pokemon, as well as just the Centiskorch V, you know, and if you want to start setting one up, another one up, to get ready to play the Centiskorch VMAX. So 4 Quick Balls, and we run 4 switch cards as well, but with the Jirachis, with the Volcanions, and then also with the Centiskorch Heatran combo, we want to be able to switch out from our active spot into one of our bench Pokemon, whether that is a Heatran-GX, whether that is a Blacephalon-GX to get that one prize, or, you know, any other card that we want to get into play. A lot of times with the Centiskorch VMAX, we want to save the energy that we've stacked up onto a Centiskorch VMAX, but we don't want to use it anymore since it might be close to getting knocked out. Switch card helps us switch out into a new Pokemon and start going from there. So 4 switch cards, and those are pretty important to this deck, I think. One little inclusion: we're running 1 Tool Scrapper, so sometimes, you know, those item cards, those tool cards that people are running can be really pesky in this format. So people, again, are running the Toughness Cape, and that can be kind of the difference for you getting that one-shot knockout on some of those more important Pokemon V cards that your opponent might be running. Or maybe they're just running like an air balloon or anything that can really help facilitate their deck. Running a Tool Scrapper is useful to kind of bring them down to earth to give you more of an opportunity to get the knockout or get the win eventually. So 1 Tool Scrapper, and then a new card that just came out is Turbo Patch, and we run this just to sort of accelerate that energy a little bit quicker onto our Centiskorch or Heatran, whatever it might be. So you flip a coin. If heads, you get to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your basic Pokemon that isn't a Pokemon GX. So it's important to note that this won't work with Blacephalon, it won't work with Heatran. We're mainly using this to put it onto our Centiskorch Vs, and then having that energy to where when we evolve it into our Centiskorch VMAXs, we're able to just get right into attacking mode and hitting for big damage. So we only run 2 Turbo Patches because it's not entirely necessary with the cards we run like Welder, but we run 2 of those. Next up, we run 3 Giant Hearts. We run 4 stadiums in total. 3 of them are Giant Hearts. This card just really helps us find those fire energies and goes really well with Welder. So you get to discard a card from your hand, and then look for 2 fire energy cards. So let's say you even are discarding a fire energy card from your hand to then find 2 more in your deck. Doing that a few times isn't bad at all because we are running the Fire Crystals, and that's an easy way to get plenty of energies in our hand and make sure that we're getting those attachments every turn. So we run 3 of those, and then we also run 1 Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. So this card is very kind of a niche card, but it's going to survive rotation, and it actually works really well with this Centiskorch VMAX deck. So the attacks of non-fairy type Pokemon, both yours and your opponents, cost 1 more energy. So in this format, you probably won't see almost any fairy type decks anymore. So the fact that this card is still legal means that no matter what, almost all the time, everyone's Pokemon are going to be needing an extra energy to attack. And if you look at Centiskorch VMAX, let's go back up to Centiskorch VMAX. We only need 2 energy to do this attack. But with Wondrous Labyrinth, that brings it up to 3, which isn't a big deal because when we use this attack, we're going to be, when we use this Pokemon and when we attack with it, we're going to have as many energies as we can onto this. So even though we need 3 energy to attack, the total damage that the attack does isn't affected by that Wondrous Labyrinth. Only the requirement to use the attack. So if we have a bunch of energy onto our Centiskorch VMAX, getting the Wondrous Labyrinth out makes it so our opponent needs to have an extra energy to attack us, but we should be having plenty of energy onto Centiskorch VMAX and should be attacking freely no matter what. So that's a really good card because it for the most part, it's only going to hinder your opponent. And then we run 2 Escape Boards. So this is not going to survive rotation, but I think after this rotates, you can switch this out with maybe like a Big Charm or an Air Balloon. Right now, we're running a skateboard only because with Jirachi, it just goes perfectly. So being able to switch in and out of Jirachi while it's asleep after you use its ability is really useful. And then obviously, if we're starting with the Crobat or the Dedenne or the Eldegoss, whatever it may be, being able to free retreat out into a more useful attacking Pokemon can also be really useful. So we run 2 Escape Boards, but mainly just for the Jirachi combos. So we run 3 Boss's Orders, and we do that because Centiskorch VMAX does have good knockout potential, and then sometimes you just want to knock out any of the Pokemon that your opponent might be setting up on their bench, or maybe just any Pokemon that you know, can give you that extra prize card, like a Crobat or a Dedenne on the bench. Anything that you can really use to your advantage. It's a very useful card, and you'll always find that this card helps out a lot. We also run one Mallow Lana. So Centiskorch VMAX, of course, has a lot of HP, and then we don't mind discarding cards. Again, with Fire Crystal, discarding Fire Energies isn't a big deal. We have plenty of cards in this deck, plenty of extra Pokemon we'll probably draw into, so discarding is not a big deal. Being able to switch out, again, is something really important to this deck, but you also get to heal 120 damage. So a lot of times this will bring Centiskorch VMAX, you know, out of that 2-hit combo range, or 2-hit knockout range, and into the 3-hit knockout range, so that can be really useful with Mallow Lana. So we play this mainly for the switching and the healing, and just a card that's really useful in almost any deck, but especially in the Centiskorch VMAX deck. Private trade, okay. And then, of course, we're running 4 Welders, so really the staple in any fire-type deck that should ever be played. You get to attach 2 fire energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon, and then if you do, you get to draw 3 cards. So basically, an incredible supporter. Gives you 2 extra attachments, 3 extra cards, and is incredibly useful no matter what you're doing with a fire deck. And with Centiskorch VMAX, more energy is more damage. That's the name of the game, so running 4 Welders is pretty much essential to this deck. And then that's actually going to wrap it up. So we also do run the 11 normal fire energy cards, and then we run the 2 heat energy cards. So heat energy just gives your Pokemon 20 extra HP, 2 extra damage counters when it's attached to a fire Pokemon. So this can, of course, also mixed with the Mallow Lana, give your Centiskorch VMAX that extra HP and the extra ability to live 2 or maybe even 3 hits. So a useful card. We don't need to run 4 of them in this deck, but 2 seems to be enough. And of course, it doesn't work with Welder, it doesn't work with Volcanion, so these are going to be attached manually, but that should be totally fine. But that's going to do it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have some success with this deck. Comment below, what would you rather have put in the deck? What things would you include? What things would you take out of this deck list? And then also comment below, do you think Centiskorch is going to become a top 3 or maybe a top 5 deck in the format? Or do you think it's sort of going to fall to an average level? I know cards like, or decks like Inteleon VMAX are going to be becoming a lot more popular now that Dragapult is, you know, getting destroyed by Eternatus, so it's probably not going to be seeing as much play as it was. And of course, cards for like Centiskorch VMAX and Charizard VMAX just came out, so I think Inteleon VMAX is going to be a more popular deck. But let me know, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, press the like button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.